Are you at the breaking point when it comes to your anxiety recovery right now? Does it feel like it's so confusing, bewildering, and you just can't seem to get to a better place mentally, emotionally, physically in relation to anxiety? If you answered yes, we're going to dive deep into why this is happening and what you can do starting today to start moving down a different path, my friends. Welcome to another important video on my channel. Please subscribe to this channel as well if you want to learn more about any of the #1 rated anxiety recovery programs online. Just click here. And the truth is, as we go about the day, we tend to refer to ourselves as anxiety, as a sufferer, as someone who will suffer for a long period of time, as someone who is addicted to suffering, as someone who isn't very lucky, as someone who isn't humorous. And all of these things are coming from an interpretation in relation to your lower self or your little me, right? And when I talk about your little me, I'm talking about the part of you that is the least informed in terms of what's going on right now or in the future, along with the part of you that screams the loudest. So we're talking about lower self and little me here. And this little me screams the loudest through your body, through certain sensations, through certain symptoms that you experience and discomforts in the body. As we know, these symptoms can travel from one body part to the next. They can get strong. And once we become disinterested in one particular symptom, it tends to move to another one. And all of these can be interpreted as being something physically catastrophic in terms of what's going on in your human body. So we have that little me that is just so ready to sound the alarm within the body or the mind, and these constant intrusive ideas or emotional states in terms of a tremendous amount of anxiousness, panic, and fright when it comes to taking on the day and taking on the rest of your life. So then there's the middle part, and the middle part is the decision maker. And the decision maker is the conscious you. The conscious you gets to decide what something means and what path you are going to take. Now the conscious you, as long as you continue to look at what's going on from little me as being very, very real and should be taken very, very seriously, you're going to continue to justify the fear. Therefore, the sensations and the symptoms will continue. However, once the middle self or the decision maker goes, hey, I can see a pattern here. A pattern is emerging. I wake up in the morning, I fixate on what's taking place in my body, or I give a tremendous amount of focus and energy to the idea that today's going to be quite the struggle. It's going to be struggle physically, it's going to be a struggle mentally and emotionally. Therefore, sometimes we get to a point where we completely turn the knob down in terms of our emotions. We don't even want to feel good emotions because that may spur on anxiety and potentially panic. But the decision maker's going, well, what sort of things did we decide on yesterday? Well, we decided that we may be in some kind of physical danger. We may have to live with anxiety forever, that there's no such answer out there, we've tried everything. And what tends to happen is when we make consistent decisions, knowingly or unknowingly, what tends to happen is we tend to revert to those decisions when we're making a current decision, right? Oh, what did we do last time? We did this? Okay, let's decide on that again. And this continues the spiral of anxiety until the middle self or the decision maker goes, whoa, I realize that I can live with my symptoms. I realize that these symptoms are very uncomfortable and 99.999, if not 100% of these intrusive ideas have never come true. Interesting. And now the decision maker is starting to believe that they are capable of making a different decision in regards to any element of anxiety, mind, emotions, body. And now the decision maker is starting to go, well, I want to start believing in something different starting today. And at the same time, I don't mind if all these elements of anxiety come with me. I'm no longer going to hope or beg for a solution. And that way, I'm no longer provoking this lower self to create symptoms and the things I don't want to experience anymore. Now, you may be in this part of your life right now where you're starting to question. You're starting to question your mental, emotional, and physical habits in relation to anxiety. And this is a very powerful place to be. You should give yourself a lot of credit if you are, in fact, questioning some of the anxiety right now. That doesn't mean it goes away right away, because you got to give it a lot of time. You got to give the lower self time to catch up to the guidance now coming from the higher self. Once the decision maker decides that I can start to question some of these anxiety beliefs and such, now the door is open to taking guidance and directives from the higher self. And when we're talking about higher self, I like to talk about it in the sense of Christ consciousness. I like to talk about it in terms of downloading information from a universal mind, from an intuitive mind, because so much of anxiety comes from the head, when in fact, the heart has its own mind, and it is related to playfulness and humor and lightness and ease. And what tends to happen is when we open up that door to the higher self, we realize that even with the elements of anxiety in place, we can still tap in throughout the day. We can still at times tap in to this childlike side that is just so itching to come out again. So much of anxiety is taking life too seriously. And once we move away from the directives of the lower self and the decision maker decides that we can question these old things and we can live with these elements of anxiety for a short period of time, and we are open to a new guidance system, then the higher self starts to come in and go, okay, I'm ready to guide you, right? And now what tends to happen is there's a period there where there's a lot of discomfort, right? There's a lot of back and forth. Lower self is saying, listen to me, it's always been this way and we've kept ourselves safe up to this point. And higher self is going, no. You can or you don't have to listen to me. It's completely up to you. However, I'm here if you need me, right? I'm here when you're ready to receive the information, the wisdom, the knowledge that I have for you. What tends to happen when you start to listen to your higher self is life starts to become, at least feel like it's a lot more easier to go through. You're no longer looking for stimulation or fun. You're no longer looking for that excitement. You're no longer looking for any of that. Life feels like you can be more content with what you have, and you can live this way for the rest of your life pleasantly. That's kind of one of the parts of the higher self, right? And in terms of the anxiety, the higher self is a part of you that goes, I can allow these symptoms to be there as I go about my day. Yes, I can have the headache. Yes, I can have the chest pain. Yes, I can have the muscle twitches. Yes, I can have the numbness. Yes, I can have the body zaps. I can have the tiredness, the depersonalization, the dizziness. We no longer have to find a mental solution to all these things, but rather we can allow these things to be a part of us in the background of our lives rather than at the forefront of our lives. And that is coming from your higher self. And my friends, I want you to understand that anything in relation to lower self or little me is basically a lie. And I've asked people in the Health Anxiety University this regularly. I've asked them, would you allow a 5-year-old to tell you what the status of your physical body is? Would you allow a 5-year-old to tell you how to drive? Would you allow a 5-year-old to tell you what your future looks like? And if the answer is no to all of those things, then why are you giving so much focus and attention to what your intrusive ideas and your physical body is telling you? And once you start to create more boredom and disinterest around the elements of anxiety, that's when they start to subside, when you no longer want healing so much. The body can heal itself and the mind can heal itself as long as we don't continue to feed into the suffering that's taking place in mind and body. When we leave it to its own accord and its own time frame for healing, then we're coming about our anxiety healing from a more gentle place, because there are too many people out there looking to bully their lower self into recovery, and it's not going to happen. And also, it's not going to happen from anything in the outside world. Once you give up completely on all those things in the outside world to help you in terms of what's taking place in the inner world, you can start to begin to decide. The decision maker can decide that everything you ever need to heal anxiety and so much more has already been within you. However, there has been layers of fear that have prevented you from seeing and listening to the answers. And so it's up to us now to understand that lower self is related to anxiety. Decision maker is the one that decides what the anxiety and the elements mean, and also to pick up on past patterns and habits. And the higher self is the part of you that is intuitive, it is playful, and it reminds you that life doesn't have to be taken so seriously. And in truth, if you take your anxiety recovery too seriously, you're cutting yourself off from resources within you that will help you to heal. Ooh. Isn't that a more than anxiety moment right there? Because it's when we are a step ahead of the lower self and the little me. We're a step ahead. And we look at that swing over there and we go, I'm going to go on that swing because I've made a decision. And I'm going to align myself with the higher self's directives and guidance. So you go on the swing. Come on, symptoms, come with me. And you start swinging. And you feel like a child again. And when you feel like a child again, you no longer take your body so seriously. You no longer take your mind so seriously. And what tends to happen is in that very moment, with those new chemicals running through your body, that is when true healing starts to arise. Friends, we discussed a lot of things today, very important points, and I hope that you can start to see beyond the anxiety, beyond the guidances and the directives of the lower self and the little me, right? Comment below and let me know what the biggest more than anxiety moment was for you. And again, if you want to learn more about any of my anxiety recovery programs, head over here. Remember that you are more than anxiety, and I'll see you in the next video. I love you so very much, and I am so proud of you. Well done. Keep going. Bye-bye.